The man across the street had been watching my pregnant wife for 3 days straight, and I knew exactly how many seconds it would take me to end him if he made one wrong move. I'm a Delta Force trainer. I've spent 15 years teaching America's deadliest soldiers how to hunt, how to kill, how to survive. My job is reading threats before they become body bags. And right now, every instinct in my body was screaming that someone wanted my family dead. Hit like, subscribe for more military stories, and comment your city or country. My name is Tristan. My wife, Harper, is 7 months pregnant with our first child. We live in a quiet neighborhood in North Carolina, the kind of place where people wave at strangers and leave their doors unlocked. But 3 days ago, things started feeling wrong. It began small. A black SUV parked 2 houses down, engine running, tinted windows so dark I couldn't see inside. It sat there for 40 minutes while I watched from our bedroom window. Then it drove away. No one got out. No one went into any house on our street. The next day, Harper came home from the grocery store looking pale. She put the bags on the kitchen counter and turned to me with this look in her eyes I'd never seen before. Fear. Someone was following me, she said quietly. In the store, I kept seeing the same man in every aisle. When I went to the pharmacy section, he was there. When I went to get milk, he was there too. I thought maybe I was imagining it, but then I saw him sitting in a car in the parking lot when I left. I pulled her close, felt her heart racing against my chest. What did he look like? Tall, maybe 6 feet. Brown jacket. He had this cold look, like he was studying me. That's when I knew this wasn't paranoia. Harper isn't the type to panic. She's an emergency room nurse. She's seen gunshot wounds, stabbings, overdoses. Nothing rattles her. If she felt scared, there was a reason. I didn't tell her what I was thinking. Didn't want to worry her more than she already was. But that night, after she fell asleep, I went outside and installed 4 security cameras around our house. One covering the front door, one on the back entrance, one facing the driveway, one watching the street. I logged into the camera feed on my phone and started watching. Watching everything. Day 3 was when I saw him. It was 2 in the afternoon. Harper was inside resting. I was in my home office reviewing training schedules for my unit when my phone buzzed with a motion alert from the front camera. I pulled up the feed. A man stood across the street. Same brown jacket Harper described. He wasn't hiding. Wasn't pretending to walk a dog or check his mail. He was just standing there, phone in his hand, pointing it directly at our house. He was taking pictures. My blood went cold. I watched him for 90 seconds. He took multiple photos, zoomed in on our windows, on Harper's car in the driveway, on our front door. Then he lowered his phone, looked around casually like he was admiring the neighborhood, and walked away. I saved the footage immediately, ran it through facial recognition software I still had access to from my military contacts. Nothing. No criminal record. No military background. He was a ghost. But ghosts don't follow pregnant women through grocery stores. Ghosts don't photograph houses in broad daylight. That night, I sat Harper down at the kitchen table. I showed her the footage. We need to talk about something, I said carefully. Has anyone from your past ever made you uncomfortable? An ex-boyfriend, a patient from the hospital, anyone who might have a reason to watch you. She stared at the screen, watching the man take photos of our home, and shook her head slowly. No, I don't understand. Why would anyone do this? I don't know yet, but I'm going to find out. I called a buddy of mine from Delta, a guy named Kyle who now worked private security. Told him what was happening. He agreed to do some digging, see if anyone had been asking questions about me or Harper. 2 days passed. Nothing happened. No SUV. No man in a brown jacket. I started wondering if maybe he'd realized he'd been spotted and backed off. Then, on the 5th day, everything changed. I was at the base, running a training exercise with a group of new Delta candidates. My phone was in my locker. I didn't see the motion alert until 2 hours later when I checked during a break. The footage made my stomach drop. A different man this time. Shorter, thicker build. He walked up our driveway like he belonged there, looked around once, then walked straight to our front door and tested the handle. When it didn't open, He moved to the side of the house, checking windows. The timestamp showed this happened 30 minutes ago. Harper was home alone. I ran to my truck, breaking every speed limit between the base and our house. My hands were shaking on the steering wheel. I kept calling Harper's phone. No answer. No answer. No answer. I pulled into our driveway so fast I almost hit the mailbox. The front door was still locked. I burst inside, shouting Harper's name. Tristan. Her voice came from upstairs, confused. What's wrong? I found her in the nursery, folding tiny baby clothes, completely unaware that someone had just tried to break into our house. I pulled up the camera footage and showed her. Watched her face go white as we saw the man testing our door, checking our windows, looking for a way inside. Who is that? She whispered. Why is this happening? Before I could answer, my phone rang. It was Kyle. Tristan, we need to talk. Right now? I found something, and you're not going to like it. What is it? His voice was grim. Someone put out a contract on Harper. A hit. Professional. $50,000. And the guy who took the job? He's not some amateur. He's done this before. I found the hitman's fingerprints on our bedroom window 30 seconds before he kicked down my back door. The morning after Kyle's warning, Harper had a prenatal checkup at the hospital. I wanted to go with her, but she insisted I stay home and rest. I'd barely slept in 5 days, and she could see it wearing on me. It's just a routine appointment, she said, kissing my cheek. I'll be back in 2 hours. You need sleep, Tristan. I didn't want her going alone, but I also didn't want to scare her more than she already was. So I agreed. Watched her drive away, then immediately went to my laptop and pulled up every security camera feed. I wasn't sleeping. I was hunting. For the next hour, I reviewed footage from the past week, frame by frame, looking for patterns. The black SUV had appeared 4 times. Always parked in different spots. Always for exactly 30 to 40 minutes. The man in the brown jacket had been back twice more, always taking pictures, always staying just far enough away to avoid direct confrontation. But it was the second man, the one who'd tried our doors and windows, that made my blood run cold when I zoomed in on his face. I recognized him. Not personally, but I'd seen his file before. 3 years ago, during a joint task force operation in Virginia. He was a suspect in 2 contract killings. Never convicted. Not enough evidence. But every investigator on that case knew he was guilty. His name was Vincent, and he was in my house. I was staring at a frozen frame of his face when my phone buzzed with a new motion alert. My heart stopped. The back door camera showed Vincent walking across my backyard in broad daylight, a pistol tucked in his waistband, a crowbar in his hand. He wasn't watching anymore. He was coming inside. I grabbed my keys and sprinted to my truck. The base was 20 minutes away. Our house was 12 minutes if I broke every traffic law in North Carolina. I made it an 8. My tires screamed as I whipped into the driveway. I didn't even shut off the engine. Just jumped out and ran toward the back of the house. The back door was hanging open, splintered wood where the lock used to be. I moved silently, 15 years of training taking over. Controlled breathing. Light steps. Every sense dialed to maximum. I heard him before I saw him. He was in our bedroom, tearing through Harper's dresser drawers, looking for something. Jewelry, maybe. Cash. Something to make the trip worth it before he came back to finish the job. He didn't hear me enter the room. I crossed the distance in 3 steps. Grabbed his wrist as he turned. Twisted hard. Felt bones crack. The gun fell from his hand, and I kicked it across the room. He swung the crowbar at my head. I ducked, drove my shoulder into his ribs, and took him to the ground. He was strong, well-trained, but he wasn't dealt a force. In 6 seconds, I had him face down on the floor, arm locked behind his back, knee pressed into his spine. Who sent you? I growled in his ear. He tried to twist free. I applied more pressure. He gasped in pain. I said, "Who sent you?" "You're making a mistake, man," he choked out. "This isn't personal. It's just business." "Business? You broke into my house with a gun. My pregnant wife lives here." That's when I felt him go rigid under me, like he'd just realized something. "Your wife," he repeated. "Pregnant wife. Where is she?" Not here. And you're never getting near her. He actually laughed. A cold, bitter sound. You think I'm the only one? You think stopping me changes anything? What are you talking about? Someone paid me 50 grand to kill your wife, he said. 50 grand. That kind of money means serious people. Connected people. If I don't do it, someone else will. You can't protect her forever. My grip tightened. Who hired you? I don't know names. That's not how this works. Then how does it work? Anonymous contact. Half the money up front in cryptocurrency. Half when the job's done. They sent me photos of your wife, her schedule, this address. That's it. You're lying. I'm really not. And here's the thing you need to understand, Delta Boy. Yeah, I know who you are. They told me. Said you were military, dangerous, probably armed. They offered me extra to make sure you weren't home when it happened. But $50,000 is $50,000. Your wife made some powerful enemies, and they want her gone. I pulled out my phone with my free hand and called 911, giving them my address, telling them I had an armed intruder restrained and needed police immediately. Then I leaned closer to Vincent's ear. You're going to tell the police everything you just told me. Every detail, every communication, every dollar. Because if you don't, I will make sure every person you ever worked with knows you cooperated anyway. You'll be a dead man walking. His body went tense. You wouldn't. Try me. Police sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer. Vincent was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke, voice barely above a whisper. I got the contract 6 days ago. Anonymous user on a dark web forum. Sent photos of a pregnant woman. Said she needed to disappear quietly. No mess. No witnesses. 50,000 total. 25 up front. I took the job because the money was real and the target looked easy. Easy. Pregnant woman. Civilian. I thought it'd be simple. In and out. But then I started watching her and realized her husband was military. Started having second thoughts. But I'd already taken the money. So you were going to kill her anyway. I was going to make it look like an accident. Home invasion gone wrong. Quick and clean. The sirens were right outside now. Red and blue lights flashing through the windows. Who hired you? I asked one more time. I told you I don't know. But whoever it is, they have serious money and serious connections. Your wife isn't safe, man. Even with me in jail, someone else is coming. Police rushed through the broken back door, guns drawn. I raised my hand slowly, keeping Vincent pinned. I'm the homeowner. Tristan Cole. This man broke into my house armed. He's restrained. My military ID is in my back pocket. 2 officers moved forward carefully. One checked Vincent for weapons while the other verified my ID. Within minutes, they had Vincent in handcuffs and were taking my statement. Detective Morgan arrived 20 minutes later, a sharp-eyed woman in her 40s who'd worked organized crime for years. She listened to everything, took notes, bagged Vincent's gun and crowbar as evidence. Mr. Cole, your wife needs protection, she said bluntly. If what this man is saying is true, there's an active contract on her life. We need to move her somewhere safe until we figure out who's behind this. My phone rang. Harper. Tristan? I'm leaving the hospital now. The baby's heartbeat is perfect. Doctor says everything looks great. I'll be home in 15 minutes. I looked at the broken door, the police cars in my driveway, Vincent being loaded into a squad car. Harper, listen to me carefully. Don't come home. Drive straight to the base. Gate 7. I'll meet you there. Do you understand? What? Why? What happened? Just trust me. Please. There was a pause. Then, quietly, okay. I hung up and turned to Detective Morgan. We need to move fast. My wife's on her way to Fort Bragg. I want her in protective custody immediately. Detective Morgan nodded. We'll coordinate with base security. But Mr. Cole, you need to prepare yourself. Whoever wants your wife dead has already spent serious money trying. They're not going to stop just because we caught one hitman. She was right. But she had no idea what I was capable of when someone threatened my family. The bullet that shattered Harper's hospital window missed her head by 4 inches. We'd moved her to a secure room at the base medical facility. Private wing. Armed guards outside the door. I thought we were safe. I was wrong. It happened on the third night after Vincent's arrest. Harper was sitting up in bed, reading a book about baby names. I was in the chair beside her, going through files Detective Morgan had sent me about Vincent's background. Then the window exploded. I tackled Harper to the floor as glass rained down, covered her body with mine, heard her scream, felt her shaking underneath me. "Stay down," I shouted. Another shot. This one hit the wall where her head had been seconds ago. The guards burst through the door, weapons drawn. One hit the lights. The room went dark. The shooting stopped. Military police swarmed the area within minutes. They found the sniper's position on a rooftop 300 yards away. Empty shell casings. No fingerprints. No DNA. Whoever took those shots was a professional. Harper wouldn't stop shaking. The doctors checked her immediately. The baby was okay. Heart rate normal. No injuries. But Harper's blood pressure was dangerously high. "Mrs. Cole, you need to stay calm," the doctor said gently. "Stress like this isn't good for the baby." Harper looked at me with tears streaming down her face. "Tristan, I don't understand. I'm a nurse. I help people. I don't have enemies. Why is someone trying to kill me?" I didn't have an answer, and that terrified me more than anything. Detective Morgan arrived an hour later with an FBI agent named Dominic Reed. Tall guy, mid-40s, with the kind of eyes that had seen too much. "Mr. Cole, we traced the money that paid Vincent," Agent Reed said. "It came from a shell company registered in Delaware. Took us 2 days to dig through the layers, but we found the source." "Who?" I asked immediately. "A real estate developer named Preston Montgomery. Owns half the commercial properties in Charlotte. Net worth around $40 million. The name meant nothing to me. I looked at Harper. Her face had gone white. "Preston," she whispered. "You know him?" I asked. She nodded slowly, hands trembling. "I dated him. 10 years ago. In college. Before I met you." My blood went cold. "What?" It was brief. Just a few months. He was older, already successful. I was 21, working part-time as a waitress. He seemed charming at first, but then he got intense. Controlling. He wanted to know where I was every minute. Got angry if I talked to other guys. I broke up with him after he showed up at my apartment unannounced 3 times in 1 week. "Did he ever threaten you?" "Not directly. But when I ended things, he told me I was making a mistake. That I'd never find anyone better than him. That I'd regret leaving him." She paused, wiping tears. "I never saw him again after that. It was 10 years ago, Tristan. Why would he do this now?" Agent Reed pulled out his tablet and showed us surveillance photos. Preston Montgomery leaving a restaurant with Vincent 2 weeks ago. Preston Montgomery meeting with another man outside a warehouse. Preston Montgomery withdrawing large amounts of cash from multiple banks. "We believe he's been tracking your wife for years," Reed said quietly. "We found evidence of private investigators he hired to monitor her movements. Photos of her at work, at your wedding, at grocery stores. He's been obsessed with her this entire time." I felt sick. "And now that she's pregnant with my child," he snapped. "That's our theory. We've issued a warrant for his arrest, but he's disappeared. Left his home 3 days ago. His lawyer says he's on a business trip, but we think he's hiding." "He's going to try again," I said. "He's already hired 1 hitman and 1 sniper. He won't stop." Detective Morgan nodded grimly. "That's why we're moving Mrs. Cole to a federal safe house. 24-hour protection. No one will know the location except essential personnel." Harper grabbed my hand. "I want this to end. I want our baby to be safe." "It will end," I promised her. "I'll make sure of it." But even as I said the words, I knew the truth. Preston Montgomery had $40 million and a dangerous obsession. And somewhere out there, he was already planning his next move. I watched Preston Montgomery hire his 3rd hitman through a coffee shop window, and this time I was ready to end him. 2 weeks had passed since the sniper attack. Harper was hidden in a safe house 2 states away. FBI was dragging their feet with warrants and surveillance. Meanwhile, Preston was walking free, planning his next move. So I stopped waiting for the law. I started hunting him myself. I used every skill Delta Force taught me. tracked his credit cards, monitored his phone, followed his lawyer. And finally, I found him. He was sitting in a downtown Charlotte cafe, expensive suit, gold watch, looking like any other millionaire having a business meeting. Except the man across from him wasn't a business partner. I recognized the type immediately. Cold eyes, scarred knuckles. The way he sat with his back to the wall, constantly scanning exits. Another killer for hire. I took photos through the window. Watched Preston slide an envelope across the table. Watched the hitman open it, count cash, and nod. They shook hands. The hitman left. Preston stayed, sipping his coffee like he hadn't just bought another murder. I sent the photos to Agent Reed immediately. Then I waited. Preston finished his coffee, paid, and walked to his car. A black Mercedes. Vanity plate that read Prez 1. I followed him from 3 cars back. He drove to a luxury apartment building in Uptown. Parked in the private garage. Disappeared inside. My phone rang. Agent Reed. We got him, Reed said. Those photos are enough for conspiracy to commit murder. We're moving in now. I want to be there when you arrest him. Tristan, you're not law enforcement. You need to stay back. That man tried to kill my wife twice. I'm not staying back. Reed was quiet for a moment. Then fine. But you don't touch him. You don't speak to him. You just watch. Understood. Understood. 30 minutes later, FBI tactical team surrounded Preston's building. I stood behind them, watching through the glass doors as they rode the elevator to the 15th floor. They knocked. Preston opened the door in a silk robe, martini in hand, completely calm. Preston Montgomery, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, solicitation of murder, and stalking. Preston smiled. Actually smiled. I want my lawyer, he said smoothly. And you gentlemen have made a terrible mistake. They cuffed him anyway. Read him his rights. Started walking him out. That's when he saw me standing in the lobby. His smile disappeared. His face twisted into something ugly. You, he hissed. You took her from me. I didn't respond. Just stared at him. She was mine first. Preston continued, voice rising. I loved her. I gave her everything. And she threw it away for you. A soldier. You think you're better than me? Agent Reed pulled him forward. Keep moving. She'll never be safe. Preston shouted back at me. You hear me? Never. They dragged him into a waiting SUV and drove away. I thought it was over. I was wrong. Preston's lawyer posted his $2 million bail in 4 hours. By midnight, he was back in his apartment, free, waiting for trial. Agent Reed called me, furious. The judge said he wasn't a flight risk because of his business ties. I'm sorry, Tristan. We tried. I hung up and immediately called Kyle. He's out, I said. We need to move. What's the play? He's going to come after Harper again. He's desperate now. Arrested, humiliated, losing control. That makes him more dangerous. So what do we do? I looked at the photos I'd taken of Preston at the cafe. Studied his face. The arrogance. The entitlement. We make him think he's winning, I said slowly. We give him exactly what he wants. You're going to use Harper as bait? No. I'm going to use myself. Harper's college roommate told me the truth Preston had been hiding for 10 years, and suddenly everything made sense. Her name was Brooke. She called me 3 days after Preston's arrest, voice shaking. I saw the news about Preston Montgomery, she said. I need to tell you something about him and Harper. Something she probably doesn't even remember. We met at a diner outside Charlotte. Brooke was nervous, kept looking over her shoulder. When Harper dated Preston in college, it seemed normal at first. Brooke began. He was older, wealthy, confident. Harper thought he was nice. But I saw things she didn't. Like what? He installed tracking software on her phone without telling her. I caught him going through her laptop one night when she was in the shower. He had a key to our apartment that Harper never gave him. He just made a copy somehow. When she talked to other guys, even just classmates, he'd show up out of nowhere. My hands clenched into fists. Did Harper know? Some of it. That's why she broke up with him. But she didn't know the worst part. Brooke pulled out her phone and showed me screenshots. After they broke up, Preston created fake social media accounts to keep watching her. I found out because he accidentally liked one of her photos from an account he forgot to switch. When I confronted him, he threatened me. Said if I told Harper, he'd ruin my family's business. My dad owned a small company, and Preston had connections. So I stayed quiet. He's been stalking her for 10 years. Yes. And when I saw she got married to you 3 years ago, I thought maybe he'd finally moved on. But then I saw the news about the hitman, and I realized he never stopped. He just got more dangerous. I felt sick. Harper had no idea this man had been watching her entire life. Our wedding, our home, our pregnancy. There's something else, Brooke said quietly. Preston told me once, back in college, that Harper was supposed to be his wife. That they were meant to be together forever. That if she ever left him, he'd make sure no one else could have her either. I thought he was just being dramatic. Now I know he meant it. I thanked Brooke and left immediately. Called Agent Reed and told him everything. This changes things, Reed said. This isn't just obsession. This is premeditated stalking spanning a decade. We can add charges. Will it keep him in jail? Maybe. But his lawyers are good. And rich people don't stay locked up easily. He was right. 2 days later, Preston was still free. Still out there. Still planning. That night, I sat with Harper on a video call. She was safe in the federal house, but I could see the exhaustion in her eyes. I'm so sorry, she whispered. I brought this into our lives. If I'd never dated him, stop, I interrupted. This isn't your fault. You were 21. You didn't know he was sick. But I should have seen it. The signs were there. Harper, listen to me. Preston is a manipulator. He hid who he really was. And now we know the truth. He's been obsessed with you for 10 years. This isn't about love. This is about control. He can't accept that you chose your own life, your own husband, your own happiness. She wiped tears from her face. What if he never stops? What if our baby grows up with this hanging over us? He will stop. I promise you. How? I didn't answer immediately. Because the truth was, I was planning something that could end my career, my freedom, maybe my life. But it would protect my family. Trust me, I finally said. This ends soon. The next morning, Agent Reed called with news that made my blood boil. Preston's lawyer filed a motion claiming Harper fabricated the relationship details to frame him. They're saying she's lying about the stalking, that it was a mutual relationship that ended badly, and now she's using false accusations to destroy his reputation. That's insane. It gets worse. His legal team found the third hitman we photographed at the cafe. He's claiming that meeting was about Preston hiring security, not hiring a killer. Says the envelope contained payment for bodyguard services. You're kidding. I wish I was. Preston's rewriting the entire narrative. And with his money and lawyers, he might actually convince a jury. I hung up and stared at the wall. Preston thought he was untouchable. Thought his money could buy him out of anything. He was about to learn that some people can't be bought. And some threats can't be lawyered away. I leaked fake information that Harper was being moved to a new safe house. And Preston took the bait in less than 6 hours. Agent Reed didn't like my plan. Neither did Kyle. But they both knew we were running out of options. You're using yourself as bait, Reed said. If this goes wrong, you could end up dead. If we don't do this, Harper ends up dead. I'll take those odds. The plan was simple. We'd spread rumors through channels we knew Preston was monitoring that Harper was being transferred to a safe house in Virginia. We'd create fake routes, fake security details, fake everything. And we'd wait for Preston to make his move. But the real Harper would stay exactly where she was, protected by people Preston didn't know about. Kyle helped me set up surveillance on Preston's apartment, his car, his lawyer's office. We tracked every phone call, every text message, every movement. And we waited. On the second day, Preston's lawyer received a call from an unknown number. We recorded it. I need someone reliable, Preston's voice said. The previous contractors failed. This time I need guarantees. Mr. Montgomery, I strongly advise you not to discuss this on the phone. I'm using a burner. It's fine. Can you connect me with someone or not? There was a pause. Then, I'll make some calls. 12 hours later, Preston met with a man named Felix at a parking garage. Felix was ex-military, dishonorably discharged for violence. He'd been on our radar for months as a potential mercenary. I watched through binoculars from a rooftop across the street. Preston handed Felix a folder. Photos of the fake Virginia safe house we'd planted. Details about the fake transfer route. Everything perfectly designed to look real. Felix studied the documents and nodded. They shook hands. Preston was smiling when he walked back to his car. He thought he'd won. That night, we moved into position. Reed coordinated with Virginia State Police. Kyle assembled a team of private contractors, all former special forces. I positioned myself at the fake safe house with 3 other Delta operators I trusted with my life. The house was empty except for us. No Harper. No civilians. Just trained killers waiting for Preston's hired gun. Felix arrived at 2 in the morning. Parked 3 blocks away. Approached on foot with a rifle and night vision goggles. He was good. Moved quietly. Stayed in shadows. Checked angles before advancing. But he wasn't Delta Force good. We let him get within 50 feet of the house. Then Kyle, positioned in a tree, spoke into his radio. Target acquired. He's armed. Moving to intercept. 2 operators came up behind Felix silently. He sensed them at the last second, tried to turn, but it was too late. They had him on the ground in seconds. Disarmed. Cuffed. Agent Reed appeared with a team of FBI agents and Virginia State Police. Felix Carver, you're under arrest for attempted murder and conspiracy. Felix didn't fight, just stared at the ground, realizing he'd walked into a trap. Where's Preston Montgomery? Reed demanded. Felix stayed silent. You're looking at life in prison, Reed continued. But if you cooperate, we can talk about a deal. Still nothing. I stepped forward. Crouched down next to Felix. He doesn't care about you, I said quietly. Preston Montgomery has $40 million. He'll hire the best lawyers for himself and leave you to rot. You think he's going to help you? You're disposable to him, just like the last 2 guys he hired. Felix finally looked up. What are you talking about? Vincent, the first hitman. He's in federal custody, facing 25 to life. The sniper who shot at the hospital? We caught him yesterday. He's already flipped, gave us everything about Preston. You're the 3rd man, and you're the one holding the bag while Preston walks free. I could see the anger building in Felix's eyes. That rich bastard told me this was a simple job. In and out. $20,000 for 1 night's work. He lied to you, just like he lied to everyone else. Now you can either go down alone, or you can help us put him away forever. Felix was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke. Preston has another plan. If I failed tonight, there's a backup team already in place. He hired 4 men to hit the real safe house where your wife is staying. My heart stopped. When I demanded. Tomorrow night. He leaked the real location somehow. I don't know how, but he knows where she is. I looked at Reed. His face had gone pale. We have a leak, Reed said. Someone on the inside gave Preston the real location. I was already running to my truck. Harper wasn't safe. She'd never been safe. And Preston had been 1 step ahead of us the entire time. The federal agent guarding Harper's safe house was dead in his car when I arrived, and I knew we had less than 10 minutes before Preston's team breached the building. I'd driven 4 hours straight, breaking every speed limit, calling ahead to warn the security team. But when I pulled up to the safe house in rural Pennsylvania, the first thing I saw was Agent Collins slumped over the steering wheel of his vehicle, a single bullet hole in his temple. Professional hit. Suppressed weapon. No witnesses. I grabbed my tactical vest from the trunk, checked my pistol, and moved toward the house. Kyle was 30 minutes behind me with backup. I couldn't wait. The safe house was a 2-story farmhouse surrounded by woods. 3 agents inside, plus Harper. Radio silence. That meant they were either already dead or under attack. I circled to the back entrance, staying low. Spotted 2 bodies near the tree line. More agents. Throat cuts. These weren't amateurs. Then I heard it. Gunfire. Inside the house. I kicked in the back door and moved through the kitchen. Found Agent Myers on the floor, bleeding from his shoulder, but alive. Second floor, he gasped. They're going for your wife. 3 hostels. Maybe 4. I took the stairs 2 at a time. Heard Harper screaming. Heard men shouting. Heard furniture breaking. The bedroom door was splintered open. 2 men in tactical gear were trying to drag Harper out, while a third stood guard at the door. I shot the guard first. Center mass. He dropped. The other 2 turned. One raised his weapon. I put 2 rounds in his chest before he could fire. The third man grabbed Harper, pressed a knife to her throat. Back off or she dies right now, he shouted. Harper's eyes found mine. Terrified. 8 months pregnant. The man's blade against her skin. Let her go, I said calmly, weapon trained on his head. I said back off. You're surrounded. FBI is 2 minutes out. You kill her, you die. You let her go, you live. Choose. His hand was shaking. Amateur mistake. Fear makes you sloppy. Preston paid us $50,000 each, he said desperately. $50,000 to make sure she didn't make it through the night. He said it'd be easy. Said she'd be alone. Preston lied. He always lies. Now let her go before I put a bullet through your skull. The man's eyes darted around the room, looking for exits. Finding none. Then he made his decision. He shoved Harper toward me and ran for the window. I caught Harper, pulled her close, and shot him in the leg before he could jump. He went down screaming. Kyle burst through the door with 4 operators behind him, weapons ready. Clear the house. Kyle ordered. Check for more hostiles. I held Harper as she sobbed against my chest. You're safe. I've got you. You're safe. The baby, she gasped. Tristan, something's wrong. I'm having contractions. My blood went cold. How long? They started 20 minutes ago. Every 5 minutes. Kyle was already on the radio calling for medical evacuation. We need air ambulance now. Pregnant woman in active labor, 8 months, high-risk situation. The surviving attacker was zip-tied and bleeding on the floor. I crouched next to him. How did Preston know this location? He grimaced in pain. Don't know. He just sent us the address and photos yesterday. Said it was Federal Safe House. Said your wife would be there. Who told him? I don't know, man. He didn't tell us anything except the target and the payout. Agent Reed's voice came through Kyle's radio. Tristan, we found the leak. Agent Davidson from our Philadelphia field office. He's been feeding Preston information for 3 months. Preston paid him $200,000. Where's Davidson now? In custody. And we've got Preston. He's being arrested as we speak. His lawyer can't save him this time. We have Davidson's testimony, recorded communications, everything. But I barely heard him. Harper's contractions were getting stronger. She gripped my hand so hard I felt bones grinding. Tristan, the baby's coming, she whispered. It's too early. Something's wrong. The sound of helicopter rotors cut through the air. Medical team rushed inside with a stretcher. Ma'am, we need to get you to the hospital immediately, the paramedic said. Your baby is in distress. Heart rate is dropping. They loaded Harper onto the stretcher. I climbed into the helicopter with her, holding her hand as we lifted off. Below us, I could see police cars swarming the safe house. Agents securing the scene. Preston's hired killers being loaded into vehicles. But all I could think about was Harper's face, pale and scared, as the medics worked frantically to stabilize her. Stay with me, I whispered to her. Both of you stay with me. Her eyes met mine, filled with tears. I'm scared. I know. But you're the strongest person I've ever met. You survived this. You survived him. Now we're going to meet our baby. The helicopter pilot's voice crackled over the radio. ETA to hospital, 8 minutes. 8 minutes felt like a lifetime. My daughter was born during a hospital lockdown with Preston's final hitman trapped in the building 3 floors below us. The doctors rushed Harper into emergency surgery the moment we landed. Premature labor at 8 months. Baby's heart rate unstable. They were prepping for an emergency C-section when the hospital alarms started blaring. Lockdown protocol activated. A voice announced over the intercom. All personnel secure your areas. This is not a drill. A nurse ran into the operating room, face pale. There's an armed man in the building. Security says he's heading toward the maternity ward. My blood turned to ice. Preston sent another one, I said. He knew we'd bring Harper here. Agent Reed's voice came through my phone. Tristan, hospital security spotted a man matching the description of Logan Webb. He's a professional cleaner. Takes jobs when other people fail. If he's there, Preston paid him a fortune to finish this. Harper's in surgery right now. I'm not leaving her. You don't have to. State police are 3 minutes out. SWAT is mobilizing. Just keep her safe until we get there. I looked at the surgical team. Harper was on the table, terrified, monitors beeping frantically. Doctor, how long until the baby's out? 10 minutes. Maybe less. But I can't rush this. If I do, we could lose them both. Kyle's voice came through my earpiece. He'd arrived at the hospital with 2 other operators. We're securing the corridor outside your operating room. Logan's on the 2nd floor, moving up. He's got a pistol and body armor. Hospital security is unarmed. They're evacuating civilians. Don't let him get close. Copy that. I moved to the operating room door, weapon drawn. Through the small window, I could see Kyle and 2 operators positioned in the hallway, using medical equipment as cover. Behind me, Harper's voice cut through the chaos. Tristan, I turned. She was crying, one hand reaching for me even as the doctors worked. I'm right here, I said, holstering my weapon and taking her hand. I'm not going anywhere. Promise me if something happens, you'll save the baby. Promise me. Nothing's going to happen. You're both going to be fine. Promise me. I promise. The doctor's voice was steady despite the alarms. Okay, Harper, we're starting now. You're going to feel pressure. Gunfire erupted in the hallway. 3 shots. Then 4. Then silence. Kyle's voice in my ear. Hostile down. Logan's wounded, but still mobile. He's retreating to the stairwell. More shots. Someone screamed. The surgical team kept working, hands steady, even though I could see fear in their eyes. Baby's crowning, the doctor announced. Almost there. Another burst of gunfire. Closer this time. My phone buzzed. Text from Kyle. He's coming up the stairs. East side. 2 of us moving to intercept. I squeezed Harper's hand. Stay strong. 30 seconds. I can see the head, the doctor said. One more push, Harper. Harper screamed. Not from pain. From terror and exhaustion and everything she'd been through. Then I heard it. A tiny, angry cry. It's a girl, the doctor said, lifting a small, perfect baby into the air. She's breathing. She's okay. Tears poured down my face as I watched the nurses clean my daughter, wrap her in a blanket, check her vitals. 5 pounds, 2 ounces, a nurse announced. Premature, but strong. She's a fighter. Just like her mother. The door burst open. Kyle, covered in blood, but standing. Logan's down. Police have him in custody. Hospital secure. Agent Reed's voice came through my phone. Tristan, we've got Preston. He was in a parking garage 2 blocks from the hospital, listening to police scanner. He was waiting to hear if Logan succeeded. When officers approached, he tried to run. He's in custody now. It's over. I looked at Harper holding our daughter for the first time. Both of them alive. Both of them safe. It's over, I repeated to Harper. She kissed our daughter's forehead, tears streaming down her face. What do we name her? I thought about everything we'd survived. The attacks, the fear, the strength it took to keep fighting. Hope, I said quietly. Her name is Hope. Harper smiled through her tears. Hope Cole. It's perfect. Outside, police sirens filled the air. Inside, our daughter slept peacefully in her mother's arms, completely unaware that she'd been born in the middle of a war. A war that was finally over. Preston's lawyer tried to claim temporary insanity, but then his own sister walked into the courtroom with a recording that destroyed him. The trial started 4 months after Hope was born. Preston had been denied bail after the hospital attack. He sat in that courtroom every day in an orange jumpsuit, glaring at Harper like she was the criminal. His legal team was expensive and ruthless. They argued Preston was mentally unstable from a brain tumor. They brought in doctors who claimed he didn't understand his actions. They painted him as a victim of obsessive love disorder. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Preston's lawyer said smoothly, "My client is a sick man. He needs treatment, not prison. His obsession with Mrs. Cole was a medical condition, not a criminal conspiracy." I sat behind Harper, watching her hands shake as she prepared to testify. When they called her to the stand, she walked up with her head high. For months of therapy had helped, but I could still see the fear in her eyes when she looked at Preston. The prosecutor, a sharp woman named Clara Hayes, began gently. "Mrs. Cole, can you describe your relationship with the defendant?" Harper's voice was steady. "I dated Preston Montgomery for 3 months in college. 10 years ago, when I realized he was controlling and obsessive, I ended the relationship. I never saw him again until this year." "And you had no contact with him during those 10 years?" "None. I moved on. I got married. I built a life." "Did you know he was monitoring you?" "No, not until the attack started." Preston's lawyer stood for cross-examination. "He was aggressive immediately. Mrs. Cole, isn't it true you accepted expensive gifts from my client during your relationship?" "He gave me some gifts, yes. I thought it was normal dating. Jewelry worth thousands of dollars. Designer clothes. A car. I didn't ask for those things. And I gave the car back when we broke up. But you kept the jewelry." Harper's jaw tightened. "I was 21 years old. I didn't understand what it meant. Or perhaps you enjoyed his money. Perhaps you led him on. Perhaps when he discovered you were pregnant with another man's child, you fabricated this entire story to—" "Objection." Prosecutor Hayes stood. "Counsel is badgering the witness." "Sustained," the judge said firmly. "Mr. Grant, stick to relevant questions." But the damage was done. Preston's lawyer had planted doubt in the jury's minds. When Harper stepped down, she was shaking. I held her as we sat back down. "You did great," I whispered. But I could see several jurors looking uncertain. The trial continued for 2 weeks. The prosecution presented evidence. Phone records. Financial transactions. Testimony from Vincent, Felix, Logan, and Agent Davidson, the corrupt FBI agent. But Preston's lawyers countered everything. They claimed the hitmen were lying for plea deals. They argued the evidence was circumstantial. They made Preston look like a confused, mentally ill man who needed help. Then, on the final day of testimony, something unexpected happened. The courtroom doors opened. A woman walked in, mid-30s, business suit, resembling Preston enough that I knew immediately who she was. His sister, Natalie. Prosecutor Hayes looked surprised but called her to the stand. "State your name for the record." "Natalie Montgomery." "And your relationship to the defendant?" "He's my brother." Preston's face went pale. He leaned toward his lawyer, whispering frantically, "Ms. Montgomery, why are you here today?" Hayes asked. Natalie pulled out her phone. Her hands were shaking. 3 months ago, Preston came to my house. He was angry, drinking heavily. He told me everything. About Harper. About the hitman. About his plan. I tried to talk him out of it, but he wouldn't listen. So I recorded our conversation. The courtroom erupted. Preston's lawyer jumped up. "Objection. This is inadmissible. Attorney-client privilege." "She's not his attorney," Hayes countered. "She's a witness." The judge banged his gavel. "I'll allow it. Play the recording." Natalie pressed play. Preston's voice filled the courtroom, slurred but clear. "She thinks she can just forget about me? Build a happy little family? I made her who she is. Without me, she'd still be waiting tables. And now she's having his baby? A soldier's baby? No. If I can't have her, no one can. I don't care how much it costs. I don't care who I have to hire. She dies, the baby dies, and that Delta Force husband of hers learns what it means to take something from Preston Montgomery." Silence. Complete, absolute silence. Then Natalie's voice on the recording. "Preston, you're talking about murder. I'm talking about justice. She betrayed me. She needs to pay." The recording ended. Preston was standing now, screaming. "You recorded me? Your own brother. You were planning to kill an innocent woman and her baby." Natalie shouted back, tears streaming down her face. "I couldn't let you do it." Security grabbed Preston as he lunged toward her. The judge ordered him removed from the courtroom. The jury deliberated for 2 hours. Guilty. On every single count. The judge sentenced Preston to life in prison without parole, and his final words in that courtroom showed he still believed Harper belonged to him. Sentencing day came 3 weeks after the verdict. The courtroom was packed with reporters, victims' families, and people who'd followed the case. Preston was brought in wearing handcuffs and leg chains. He looked thinner, older, broken. But when his eyes found Harper, that same obsessive fire was still burning. Judge Martinez, a stern woman in her 60s, reviewed the case file before speaking. Mr. Montgomery, you have been found guilty of 5 counts of conspiracy to commit murder, 3 counts of solicitation of murder, stalking, witness tampering, and corruption of a federal officer. The evidence against you is overwhelming. Your own sister's testimony sealed your fate. Preston's lawyer stood. Your Honor, we ask for leniency. My client has no prior criminal record. He's a respected businessman who made terrible mistakes due to mental illness. We believe psychiatric treatment in a facility rather than prison would be. Sit down, counselor. Judge Martinez interrupted. I've heard enough excuses. This man spent over $300,000 trying to murder a pregnant woman. He hired 5 different people to kill her. He corrupted a federal agent. He showed no remorse, no mercy, no humanity. Mental illness does not excuse this level of calculated violence. She looked directly at Preston. You stalked Mrs. Cole for 10 years. You convinced yourself she was your property. And when she dared to build a life without you, you decided she should die. That level of entitlement, that level of evil, cannot be treated. It can only be contained. Your Honor, please. Preston's lawyer tried again. I sentence you to life in prison without the possibility of parole on each count of conspiracy to commit murder, to run consecutively. You will spend the rest of your natural life behind bars. The courtroom erupted in whispers. Preston's face went white. Then he exploded. This is insane, he shouted, standing despite the chains. I loved her. Everything I did was because I loved her. Love doesn't hire assassins, Judge Martinez said coldly. Preston turned to Harper, his voice rising to a scream. I gave you everything. I would have made you a queen. You threw it all away for him, for that soldier, for a nothing life in a nothing house with a nothing future. You belonged to me, Harper. You were mine. Security moved toward him, but he kept screaming. I could have given you mansions, diamonds, travel, anything you wanted. But you chose him. You chose poverty and danger, and I chose love, Harper said quietly. The courtroom went silent. Everyone turned to look at her. She stood slowly, looking Preston directly in the eyes for the first time since the trial began. You never loved me, Preston. You wanted to own me, control me, show me off like I was another expensive car or watch. But love doesn't work that way. Love doesn't track someone's phone. Love doesn't hire killers when the person leaves. Love lets people be free. Her voice grew stronger. Tristan loves me, not because I'm a trophy, but because I'm me. He protects me without controlling me. He supports me without suffocating me. He would die for me, but he'd never kill for me. That's the difference between you and him. That's why I chose him. And I'd choose him 1,000 times over. Preston's face twisted with rage and pain. You'll regret this. Someday you'll realize what you lost. The only thing I lost was fear, Harper said. And you gave me that back by going to prison. Security dragged Preston toward the exit. He fought them, still screaming. You were mine first. Mine. He stole you. This isn't over. Harper, this isn't over. The doors closed behind him. His voice faded. Judge Martinez banged her gavel. This court is adjourned. Harper collapsed into the seat beside me, shaking. I held her as she cried. Not from sadness. From relief. From release. It's really over, she whispered. It's really over. 6 months later, Harper and I were invited to testify before a congressional committee about stalking laws and domestic terrorism. We told our story to senators and representatives, pushing for stronger protections for victims. Laws were changed because of what we went through. Stalking penalties increased. Federal coordination improved. Other families wouldn't have to suffer like we did. Preston Montgomery's name became a cautionary tale, a reminder that wealth and obsession are a dangerous combination. And us? We finally started living without looking over our shoulders. 1 year after Preston's sentencing, I watched my daughter take her first steps in our new home, and I realized some battles you win not with weapons, but with the courage to keep living. We moved to a quiet town in Colorado. Mountains in the distance. Clean air. Neighbors who didn't know our story and didn't need to. Harper went back to nursing part-time at a local clinic. I continued training Delta Force operators, but now I also taught civilian self-defense classes on weekends. Hope was walking now, stumbling between furniture with that fearless determination only toddlers have. She had Harper's eyes and my stubborn streak. Every time she laughed, it erased a little more of the darkness we'd lived through. Harper started a support group for stalking survivors. She met with women every Thursday night, sharing her story, helping them find strength. She turned her trauma into purpose. "I can't change what Preston did," she told me one night after a meeting. "But I can make sure other women know they're not alone, that they can survive, that there's life after fear." I was proud of her, proud of the way she refused to let Preston's obsession define her future. As for me, I added a new module to Delta Force training. Protecting families, recognizing threats, understanding that sometimes the enemy isn't on a battlefield overseas. Sometimes the enemy is closer, hidden, obsessed. Natalie, Preston's sister, reached out 6 months after the trial. She wanted to apologize, though she had nothing to apologize for. "I should have spoken up sooner," she said over coffee. "I knew he was obsessed with you, even years ago. I just didn't think he'd actually hurt anyone." "You saved our lives," Harper told her. "That recording put him away forever. You chose the right thing over your own brother. That takes courage most people don't have." Natalie cried. We stayed in touch after that. She became part of our extended family, proof that blood doesn't excuse evil, and doing the right thing sometimes means standing alone. Preston sent letters from prison. Harper burned them without reading them. She didn't need his words anymore. Didn't need his apologies, or his justifications, or his twisted version of love. "He's spent," she said simply. "He doesn't get any more of my time." And she meant it. Life became beautifully normal. Hope's first birthday party. Date nights with Harper. Teaching Hope to say dada. Watching sunsets from our back porch without checking over our shoulders. The fear faded slowly, like a scar healing. Some days were harder than others. Harper still had nightmares sometimes. I still checked the security cameras obsessively. But we were healing. Together. One afternoon, I found Harper in Hope's nursery, holding our daughter and crying softly. "What's wrong?" I asked, immediately alert. She looked up and smiled through tears. "Nothing's wrong. I'm just grateful. Preston tried to destroy us. He spent a fortune, hired killers, corrupted people, did everything in his power to erase me from this world. And he failed. We're still here. Hope is here. We won." I wrapped my arms around both of them. "We did more than win," I said quietly. "We built a life he could never touch. That's the real victory." Harper kissed Hope's forehead, then looked at me with those strong, beautiful eyes that had seen too much darkness but refused to stop shining. "Do you think we'll ever fully move past this?" she asked. "I think we already have. We're not defined by what he did. We're defined by what we chose to do after. We chose to keep living, keep loving, keep fighting for good things. That's who we are." Hope giggled and reached for my face with her tiny hands. This was what Preston could never understand. Love isn't possession. It's not control or obsession or ownership. Love is choosing someone every single day, protecting them without caging them, supporting them without suffocating them, standing beside them when the world tries to tear you apart. Preston Montgomery died alone in a prison cell 5 years later. Heart attack. No family at his funeral except Natalie, who went out of obligation, not love. We didn't attend, didn't acknowledge it. He'd already taken enough of our time. By then, Hope was 6 years old and starting first grade. Harper was running her support group full-time, helping dozens of women find their voices. I'd been promoted, training the next generation of warriors while teaching them that true strength isn't just about combat. It's about protecting what matters. Our story became something we told to help others, not something that haunted us. And every night, when I tucked Hope into bed and kissed Harper goodnight, I was grateful for the simple, ordinary, beautiful life we fought so hard to keep. Evil tried to destroy us, but love was stronger. Before you go, I need to ask you something important. Have you ever felt like someone was watching you, following you, or refusing to let you go? Drop a comment and tell me your story. You're not alone. And please, let me know where you're watching from. Comment your city or country below. Hit that like button if this story moved you. And subscribe because we've got more thrilling, epic revenge stories coming your way that you won't want to miss. Most importantly, tell me in the comments what kind of stories you want to hear next. Betrayal? Family revenge? Cheating exposed? Military justice? Let me know and I'll bring you exactly the stories you love. Until next time, stay safe, stay strong, and remember that no matter what you're facing, you have the power to survive and thrive. See you in the next thriller. Take care.